Good morning, everybody. I see that some of you are starting to join me. If you guys don't mind, as you're getting signed in, if you would go ahead and say in the chat who you are and where you're from. And I'd just kind of like to know if you guys are classroom teachers, tech coaches, or what your role in education is. That'd be helpful for me. So we've got some high school people, middle school librarian, fourth grade, ELA. All right, I've got some people speaking my language here. I am actually a former high school ELA teacher and also a former high school librarian, so I can relate to several of you here. I have been working as a high school, middle school, and junior high instructional technology specialist for the last 7 years. So after transitioning from the high school ELA classroom to the library, I've been working with my middle school, junior high, and high school teachers and students for the last 7 years to integrate technology. So I've been working in classrooms from 5th grade to 12th grade for the last 7 years. So 4th grade, I worked with them for 2 years before they hired an elementary person here at Jackson. So I am from Jackson, Missouri. About 2 hours south of St. Louis is where we're located. And I'm going to go ahead and move this so you guys can get the bit.ly if you want to join me here. And I have 8:30, so I guess we're going to go ahead and get started. So the way this presentation is laid out, so the tech tips that are level 1 are the pretty basic ones. Some of you are probably going to be familiar with these if you've been using Google for a while. Level 2 are the next step up for those of you who are a little more advanced. And then the level 3 are kind of the ones that probably more of you would not have heard of. Normally I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, and then go back and start over again with the 1, 2, 3. But here at the very beginning, I have a lot of level 1s because these are a lot of the new releases that Google's just come out with in the last couple of months. I've done this presentation before. So the first things that we have here at the beginning are all the newest items. And then I just added this to my presentation that I've done earlier. So we're going to go through all the newer things, and then we'll go to some of the things that you may already be familiar with as time permits. And if you didn't get this bit.ly already, we're going to come back to it. It's on several of the slides as we keep going through here. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and unmute yourself and ask, because I don't have anybody monitoring the chat for me, and I'm real informal, very laid back. So if I go too fast, holler at me, let me know that I need to slow down. If you have any questions, again, just unmute yourself and jump in here and ask me about it, okay? So we're going to go ahead and get started here. Okay, I kind of already went over that. I'm going to get myself out of the way here so you guys can see more of this. Okay, so this is something new that Google has just come out with. They've got summaries in Google Docs now. So this is kind of a nice tip. If you want to know the gist of an article or something like that, you could copy something off of a web page and go ahead and paste it into Google Docs, and it'll give you this summary over here on the side and give you all of the main points. Again, I've taught high school for a long time, and I know that as lovely as those students are, if they would use all their powers for good instead of evil, they could be amazing. But your students are also going to be aware of this, and I want you to be aware of this too, because they could use this for cheating as well. My partner that I work with is so innocent and so sweet, and she would just be blown away by the fact that students would use this to cheat. So I just want you to be aware of this, just so that you know that they do have this capability now, and some of our students who are a little bit more on the lazy side would use it for that purpose instead. So it can be used as a great study tool. It could also be used as a not so great tool if we're trying to teach the skill of summary. They could use it to avoid doing the summary. So I want you to know that this tool exists now as well. Something I'm super excited about is this pageless format in Docs. So we do a similar conference to this here at Jackson in the summer. And when I'm doing all of our summaries and all of our conference proposals, this ends up being a very long document. And since we don't actually print it out, the fact that you can go ahead and make this page list means that you're not going to have the space in it for the page list or for the page breaks. And so you can go ahead and take all that space out. The way that you do this is going to File and then Page Setup, and then you make the page lists. So that'll eliminate all of that space at the end of every page. And it just takes out that space and you get that space back. So you can also switch it back if you need to go to, if you need to print it. But since most of us are probably going to print fewer and fewer documents, I think this is a great new development that Google has for us. Okay, so one of the things that we lost when we went from Microsoft Word to Google Docs was the ability to insert a watermark. I love this new capability. So if you go to File and down to Insert, you can now insert a watermark. So one of the things that we like to do is our symbol here is a JSphere. So if I go to insert something from my drive, whoops, insert from Google Drive, JSphere, I can insert our little symbol here. And there's our logo. And now I can type over it. The quick brown fox jumped over the, I don't remember what the next word is. And so the text will show up and the logo will be behind it. You can change the transparency, you can change the darkness, the lightness of it, and it'll show up just the way you want to. You could also use wording such as confidential or draft, so that if this is something that isn't supposed to go out, you can have words going behind that as well. So that is available to us now. You can have checklists in Google Docs. So that goes the same way. So I can type up here my list. And then all you have to do is highlight that and go to Insert. Where did it go? I thought it was under checklists. Oh no, I'm sorry. It's over here. After I highlight it, it is hidden by my watermark feature. The only thing that I dislike is that when you check it off, it crosses through it. Now, if you really dislike that, Eric Kurtz on Control-Alt-Achieve has found a way that you can go through and with tables and hiding the borders and things, you can do the checklist feature and it won't cross through the text. So if you're really particular, you can avoid that, but it's a whole lot more work than just using the checklist feature over here. All right, I absolutely love the ability that they have now with these new chips. Basically, if you're searching in your drive, and I have so many folders, I can't remember where I have put things anymore. It is so much faster for me to just go to my drive and search for things instead of trying to dig through all the folders and subfolders that I have. So I will go and search for them instead. So now instead, used to you had to go and click on this little icon right here to go to the advanced search. But now you can go and search, and if you know it's in your drive and you know what type of file, and I usually know what file I'm searching for, if you know it's yours or if it was shared with you by a certain person, if you know how recently you've searched for it, you can go and you can find it pretty quickly by using these search chips. And it works the same way as the advanced search. It's just fewer clicks. So I love that feature as well. Okay, another tip that I have for you, and this is just kind of my personal tip, is that probably all of you have different profiles. So you have your school account, you may have a personal account. We have what we call a curriculum account. So I have different themes for all of these profiles. So you can see my stripes here. This indicates to me that I'm in my school account right away. I have polka dots for my personal account. We have our curriculum account, and that's just red because that's one of our school colors. So I can tell right away which one of those I'm in because I can see this and I know immediately that the stripes, that's my school account. So that's one thing that I use just to make sure that I don't accidentally open something school related in my personal account. Okay, a lot of times if I'm sitting at home on my couch and I'm doing some schoolwork and I want to watch a video, but I don't necessarily want the audio to be playing while somebody else is watching TV, I'll just watch the captions. And a lot of them will have their own captions, but now there are video captions automatically that you can enable in Chrome so that you can have captioning for any video that you watch. So all you have to do is go to your Chrome settings and go to accessibility to turn these captions on. And it's really helpful. They're actually pretty good. So you can see these are the video captions themselves that the video created. These are the Chrome captions that are showing up there. And I know you can't see that in this slide presentation. It's way too tiny. I just wanted you to see what it looks like. And they actually are pretty good. Most of the time they're pretty accurate. And even if a word or two is off from the context, you're able to pick it up and tell exactly what it is they're trying to say. So you can go to settings and then advanced and accessibility features to turn those on. If it doesn't turn on right there, then you just need to go to your Chrome settings and enable that. Keyboard shortcuts. Over the course of time, if you use keyboard shortcuts, that can save you, according to some people, 8 days over the course of a year. So I love using keyboard shortcuts. Jen Giffen does a podcast that I love to listen to, and she refers to that as saving nanoseconds as you use these keyboard shortcuts instead of having to move over and use the mouse and do it that way. So some of my favorites are Control-C for copy and Control-V for paste. And I am hyper aware of it as I work with students who don't know those shortcuts or teachers who you realize how much time they're spending as they're moving over and going to the right click button. One other one that I realize that a lot of people don't necessarily know is the tab feature to move from one field to the next on a form as they're filling it out. I know a lot of you probably use Google Classroom. We use Canvas here. And I notice this particularly as people are going to sign in. So when they're on the Canvas page and they're signing in, so they'll type in their username. And then if you just hit tab, it'll automatically move your cursor down to the next field so that you can type in your password. But instead, they'll go up here and they'll type in their username, and then they have to move their hands over the mouse and click down. Whereas if you just hit tab, it is so much faster because your fingers are right there on the keyboard anyway, and it just moves your cursor from that one field down to the next. So these keyboard shortcuts, this will take you to all of them. So it'll show you all of the window shortcuts that you have. I just have some that are my particular favorites. And I think I shared, no, that's in the other presentation. So going back here. Yeah, this picture will link to all of those shortcuts that I was just clicking on over here. So as you go through here, opening a new window, opening a window in incognito mode, all of these, there are so many of them that you will probably never even know them and you won't need all of them. Some of them that kind of blow my teachers away as I show them to them. One in particular is Control-Shift-T, which will reopen a closed window. So that one I know that they like because as they're going through and walking around and their students will quickly close a window and they can have the students do Control-Shift-T and reopen that window so they can see why they suddenly closed a window when the teacher walked by. I use that all the time because I accidentally closed the wrong tab and I need to reopen the one. And you can do Control-Shift-T multiple times. So if you need to reopen a tab that you closed 5 tabs ago, you can do Control-Shift-T, Control-Shift-T, Control-Shift-T over and over again, and it will continue to reopen closed tabs. Control-Shift-C will copy, Control-Shift-V will paste. I know a lot of people, I'm sorry, Control Shift or Control V and Control C. I know a lot of people want to do Control P for paste, but that is actually print. So I remember it's Control V like Velcro. So Control C is copy and Control V is paste, and Control X will cut and paste at the same time. So those are some of the most common ones, I think. And Control F, if you don't know that one, that will open up a window. Let's see, and help you find something on the document. So if I type in here, I know this is real hard to find milk on that page, it'll highlight whatever word you're looking for. So if you're on a web page and you're looking for something and you can't find it, it'll highlight it for you and tell you how many times it shows up on a page. So if you don't know that one, that is a complete lifesaver at different times. All right, Record to Slides is a newer extension. This makes it really easy for you to include audio on a specific slide. So it's an extension that'll show up here with all of your other extensions after you add it, and it will allow you to record slides and embed it right into that slide. Otherwise, there's no real easy way to incorporate audio into your slides. This one will allow you to embed it right here. It's pretty easy. It doesn't take a whole lot. As soon as you click on it, it will open it up. Oh, and this isn't going to do it because I'm already in present mode. So let's go over to this one. All right, it gives you this little camera icon right here, and it opens up with the player. And you just click to record your video. It gives you the little record button, and it'll open up the camera so that you can start recording. And then when you're done, it just gives you the YouTube player that you insert right back in there, and there's your video. So as you're going on, the only bad thing about this that I don't like is that it's particular to that slide. So if you want audio that's going to go across slides, you're still going to have to go back and use like Screencastify. We don't need to play that right now. So Screencastify will go from slide to slide. Record to Slides is only going to be on that particular slide, but it's super easy for students to use. And the other nice thing is if you make a mistake, you only have to record one slide. You don't have to redo the whole thing. So for students, I think that's also a lot easier as well. This is another feature that I absolutely love, linking to a specific spot on a web page. So if you want to send people to a certain spot, if you're going to a specific website and it's a long website and you want to send them halfway down to that page. So let's see. So there are 14 different things on this page, and I want to send you to number 5. All I have to do is highlight and then right click and copy that link to highlight. And then when I come over here to the tab to send you there and I paste it, it's going to actually send you to that exact spot instead of sending you to the top of the page and me having to tell you exactly where to go. So that is a super useful feature, especially when you're trying to send students someplace. If you've ever used Originality reports, this is really nice as far as helping students when they're trying to teach them about plagiarism. It's great for helping them to learn to do their own checking for plagiarism. As I was checking it with my daughter when she was writing papers, I wasn't all that impressed as far as using it as a plagiarism checker as from the teacher's point of view. She was writing papers and citing all of her sources. And then when I ran it through their Originality reports, what I found is it flagged many different passages because there are only so many different ways that you can paraphrase. So she had cited all her sources and it was still flagging all of them as possible plagiarism. So I would recommend using Originality reports for a teaching tool, not necessarily for a plagiarism checker. They are adding this now. It's already exists for docs. they're adding it to slides in the coming month or two, I think is what they said. So this will be a nice feature if you are trying to teach your students how to double check and make sure that they have cited their sources. I caution you as far as using it yourself to check for plagiarism, because it's still going to basically flag anything that students have used as coming from another source. So just be aware of that as far as you using it to see if they have committed any plagiarism episodes. This is a wonderful template that I found that Emma Cartier has created. And basically you can use her template. She has created step-by-step instructions, and you can create your own Google Classroom banner. So if you want to use this template, you click on that button and it will open up, and she's already made this. She has formatted it to be the right size for you. And then on slide number 2, she has the step-by-step instructions so that you can come back up here onto slide number 1 and make your own Google Classroom banner. So you don't have to use a Bitmoji. It doesn't have to look like this. Whatever you do to make your own banner though, it has to be sized in this same way. So that whatever you create, as long as you make the slide the same size in this area where she has it right here, it's going to fit into the Google Classroom banner in your classroom. And then you go through and you can go ahead and create it, download it as a JPEG, and then you can upload it into your Google Classroom and have your own customized banner. Okay, tab groups in Chrome. This is another way that you can organize and create your own groups. So if you right-click on a tab and then you click to add it to a new group, you can create your groups and color code them. So I can go ahead and add this one. So I've created this group. It's outlined in yellow. My other presentation for today, I can drag into this group and any other tabs that I want to select there. So then I can minimize those if I need to. And then I could make a new group over here if I right click on this one, and I can make a new group. We'll just make up something here. Give it a new color. And then I can just, again, drag over there. See how that one's outlined in blue? So you could maybe have a tab group for anything that you open on a regular daily basis, like your email, maybe your Google Classroom. I have my Canvas in there. I have my calendar in there. Anything that you're going to use on a daily basis, maybe you put in a group that you call daily tabs. Maybe if you have 2 different sets of classes, like 7th grade ELA and 8th grade ELA, maybe you have tab groups for those. Or maybe you just need a bunch of different tabs for a class that you're teaching that day. It's nice to be able to group them, and then you can close them and open them as you need to. Okay, so they made a lot of changes to Google Meet over the past year. As they found out that teachers were needing these changes, as we had to go virtual, they really upped their game and were very responsive to all the needs that we had as we were having to teach virtually last year, and even some of us over this year. One of the nicest changes that they made this year is the ability to move participants in a breakout room all back into the group meeting. So right now they give you a countdown timer. So all the participants in the breakout room will know that they have 30 seconds, and then they are automatically going to all be moved back into the main meeting. And then it looks like this over here, where it says that everybody's back in there. So that was one of their nicest changes that they made this year. Most of their other changes occurred last year, I feel like. All right, another thing that they've done is they have made it so that there's a screen recording tool built into Chrome OS. So you don't actually have to use a tab or an extension like Screencastify. you can just use the screen recording tool that's built in. Again, this is in the accessibility tools, and then you're going to come down here after you've got that. It's in your taskbar down at the lower right-hand corner is how you access this. Once you have made a screen recording, it's going to save into your files. And I think it saves the most recent 5 of them for you right there. And then they'll be accessible right there. After that, they go into your files. Oh, they have finally made these needed changes to Google Forms. So they reorganized and improved the visual display of the menu items. And so now when you go to a Google form, they have a tab for all of your settings. So this is what the settings actually look like, but now this tab shows up here. I felt like before you were hunting and trying to find all of your different settings because they were all in different places up here in the underneath these icons. So now they're all nicely arranged here. When you click on these, like presentation, there's a drop down. They're under defaults. When you expand each one of them, they spread out and there's a drop down. Another great change that they made was that as someone starts to fill out a Google form, their progress is going to be automatically saved as a draft for 30 days. So that is super helpful. Like some of our parents, as they're enrolling new students, they fill out a Google form and they might not get it finished all in one setting because that's going to be a lot of gathering forms and paperwork that they might need. So that's okay because their progress is going to be saved and they can come back to it later. So I love both of these improvements. This is one that you may not have noticed yet because that is supposed to be rolling out, but they're changing the way your Gmail is going to look. So if your district uses Gmail, you may have actually already seen this change in your personal account. It hasn't occurred yet in my school Gmail yet, but they're going to be changing so that you have your Gmail, Google Meet, Google Chat, and Spaces all in one place. Now, we don't actually have Spaces turned on here in my district, but basically this is all going to be, it's going to be the same thing that you have there. It's just going to change the way it looks. So you're going to have an app main menu over here. Everything else is going to be a collapsible panel. And I think the best way to explain this is that you're going to have more room for all of your menus over here on the side for your labels and things. So you're going to be able to collapse things and have a better view over here. So I don't think it's really going to change anything. It's just going to look different. And I know that in my district, whenever teachers open something up and it looks different, that kind of tends to make people freak out for a minute until they stop and look at it and realize that nothing's really changed. It just looks different. So I am sending out an email just to let people know that this change is coming so that it doesn't catch them by surprise. So just a heads up that this is coming. It was supposed to begin rolling out on February 11th. So if your domain is a rapid release, you may have already seen it. You may have already seen it in your personal account as well. And then it was supposed to start rolling out on February 28th to regular scheduled release domains. But like I said, that hasn't happened yet in my district. The other thing that I found out that I thought was really weird was that even when it's in scheduled release domains, it doesn't happen to everybody in your district at the same time. This happened one summer when they started adding audio to Google Slides. I didn't have it, but my partner did. And that's how I learned that, even when they roll something out, not everybody in the district gets it at the same time. So you could have the new look for Gmail and your partner teacher may not have it yet. So just a little tidbit, a little bit of Google trivia. Okay, this has been here for a little while, but unless you're doing Google Sites on a regular basis, you may not realize that this is new and that this is available to you. But you can now create your own theme in Google Sites. So the things that you're able to personalize now are the fonts and the text style. You can change your colors. It's nice because you're now able to bring in your own brand images. So like we can bring in the JSpear a little bit more easily than we could before. Before you were limited as to where you could put it. Navigation settings, you can customize a little bit more, and you have a lot more control over the components such as buttons. Another huge bonus is that now you can restore a specific page from version history. Before you could only bring back like the entire site. So if you had made a lot of changes and then you realized you just wanted one page the way it was all or nothing. But now you're able to have more of a granular way of restoring changes that you made. Okay, that is most of the newer things, but we're going to go back over some of the older changes. So some of these you may already be aware of. Some of the other things I've gone over you may already be aware of, but I think these are just nice little things to know if you didn't already know them. When you're searching for something, even if it's a file or a presentation, you can just open up Google and you can start searching in what they call the Omnibox in the search bar up here. You don't have to go ahead and open up Drive first if you know the name of your presentation. You can just start searching for it here in the Omnibox and it'll pull up. So you can see that here in the GIF. So that's a nice little tip. So Google will search everywhere for it. Now they may actually come up with some other options, some web pages that are named similarly. You can see as I type more and more in, it narrows down the options till I get to the presentation. But just a little tip. It can save you a few more clicks that way. Google Docs has added a lot of new table features as well. They've got improved sorting. You can now pin the header row. So just like if you're in Google Sheets, you can save that header row so that as you're sorting and scrolling, not necessarily as important for a table as it is for a spreadsheet when you have maybe hundreds of rows. It's a lot easier to add and remove rows and columns. And you also have more properties on your sidebar over here. So you've got a lot more control and you can customize the way the table features look a little bit easier. Coming soon, you've got comparison in Google Docs. So soon this is going to be available and it's going to make it a lot easier to start mark assignments because you can compare to Google Docs and review the differences the way they're suggested edits. I don't have a whole lot more about this because I haven't been able to see anything more about it. It's just coming. I've just been able to read about this in their keyword blog, and I just know that you're going to be able to start comparing two versions. I think this is going to be similar to the way you used to be able to compare your Google site. Before you published it, you could compare what you had with the changes you had just made and make sure that you liked it. That's kind of what I'm expecting, but I don't really know for sure. In case you weren't aware of it, YouTube has an audio library. This is super helpful, especially if you have students who are creators. They have a lot of different music and even some sound effects that are available. And the nice thing about this is that these tracks are all covered by Creative Commons, which means that you can use them and not have to worry about copyright issues or copyright infringement. If you don't already know it, YouTube is really particular about that. And if you or your students post any videos that have, professional music on them, they will take them down and you can get marked for copyright infringement. And if you have too many marks against you for copyright infringement, you may not be able to post anything more. So this is a great source for your students to go and look for something. But be aware of the fact that these tracks are pretty limited and you might not have like the range that you necessarily need. See how long this takes to load. So once you get here, you can go and search for whatever you want. All right, we'll just pick one. I tried to mark some of them, but it wouldn't link directly to those. So not necessarily going to have the range that you're looking for, but it is a great source for copyright-free music. So just be aware of that and make sure that your students know about it. If you don't know about Gmail and the ability to send something later, I would definitely encourage you to check this out, especially if you work at odd hours. I am definitely a night owl and not an early bird by any stretch of the imagination, but not everybody works at the same hours that I do. And a lot of people have their phone set to push their email. So I like to use the schedule send. So when I'm over here and I open up my email, okay. So when you send an email, down here by the send button, there's the blue button with the little arrow, the little drop down. When you click that, it gives you the option to schedule send. So you always have the option to send this at a specific time. So if you're working late at night, you can schedule it to go the next morning at 8 o'clock. Another way that I have used schedule send is to resend emails to myself. So if this is something that somebody has sent me well in advance, and I know that I need to remember it closer to the time that it's needed, I will resend an email to myself like a week before something. If they've sent it to me a month ahead of time and I don't need to deal with it right away, but I need to remember closer to the date, then just resend yourself an email closer to the time that you need to remember it. So schedule send is an awesome feature. Or, you know, if you need to deal with something right then, but it's way too early to send it to somebody, you can schedule send an email. The Chromebook simulator is also fabulous. If you have a desktop and you want to see what something looks like on your students' Chromebooks, just know that this fabulous tool exists. This is something that I just learned about. So this will take you, this link will take you to the Chromebook simulator, and you can kind of look and see how something is going to work on a Chromebook. So that can be super helpful. Again, there's the keyboard shortcuts, find and open your files, just kind of see what it's going to look like for them. Okay. Oh, Google's taken that video away. The Chromebook has awesome accessibility tools. Again, those are built in for the Chromebook. There is a text-to-speech. There is a recorder. And to get to those, all you have to do is go to the snowman up here in the top right corner of your browser and go to Settings. And then in the search bar, type in accessibility. Nope. Oh, sorry, I went to the wrong search bar. Let's try that again, Dana. Go to Settings. And in this search bar, type in accessibility. All right, and then you want to turn on the option that always says to make sure the accessibility features are always on. Now, I don't have that option because I'm not on a Chromebook right now. So you should have that option. It says always show accessibility options on the system menu. So that will be an option that will then put those, let's see, what was that picture? Your system tray down the very bottom of your Chromebook, down the lower right-hand corner, will then have an accessibility feature. And that will show up there, and you'll be able to turn on those features like the text-to-speech and the, what are the other two that they usually use? Text-to-speech and the dictation tool. All right, Google Sites updates. These are some of the older ones, but one of the ones that they really like, the image carousel, the ability to do section layouts that are already pre-built, and the buttons. Those are the three of the more recent additions to Google Sites that have been very popular with students and teachers alike. Some newer features and sheets that are relatively recent are the ability to remove duplicates, to trim white space, some keyboard shortcuts that now work, and you can also, this is one I love, insert images into cells. So this is especially important if you're trying to do things like t-shirt orders and things like that. So here's the image into cells feature being demonstrated for you. Probably everyone is already aware of the ability to name different versions of Google Docs, but this is particularly helpful if you are trying to name a version as like a template, or maybe update a syllabus, like with the year, so that you can have a date and continue using the same syllabus year after year. Or even if you want to name a draft as a version and be able to see your different changes from like first draft to second draft to final draft if your students are working on something. So again, you're going to do this by going to File, Version History, and then name the current version. If any of you do things like electronic breakout boxes, you've probably used response validation in Google Forms. So you're going to go to the three dots in the lower left-hand corner and select the rule. And you might do something like make it so that the number or the correct answer has to be a specific number, or maybe a letter after the A. Make it so that it doesn't have to be plural, or it has to be a numeric response or something like that. Or maybe even requiring rhyming words where after a letter makes it optional. The asterisk after a letter makes it optional. So asterisk means that a word doesn't have to be, I'm sorry, B asterisk AT, or C asterisk AT, or M asterisk AT could be used for rhyming words. Okay, one of my absolute favorite extensions is this one right here, the Color Pick Eyedropper. So this is an extension that you can use to match colors. So if you are a little bit type A, like I am at times, you can use this extension where you click on it, and then it will give you these crosshairs. So then whatever color you're trying to match, like if I want this exact red in the Google G, there's the hex code for it that's highlighted right there. So then I can do Control Copy, and I have that color. So then if I wanted to go and change the text here, I could go into, let's see, I could go in here and I could change the text color by going to Custom and pasting in that code. And now that same text color from that G, the word instructions is now that exact same color. So if you're trying to match, say, something on your website, if you want the text to match the same color in your school logo or something like that, then you can use this Color Pick Eyedropper extension to get your colors to match. Again, it's not always something that I worry about, but on a website or something like that, if I'm doing a flyer or something, then I use that extension when I want it to work. If you have your students working in Google Slides, like on a collaborative slide deck, you might want to use the grid view in Google Slides, because once you go to that view, you can see all of your students working at the same time and monitor their progress. So it makes it a lot easier also if you're preparing a presentation, you can see all your slides at the same time, and it makes it a whole lot easier to move them around instead of having to just use the sidebar over here and keep moving them that way. Editing your bookmarks. This amazes me, the number of people that don't know this trick, because I absolutely love it. You can see I absolutely have a lot of bookmarks up here. And once you know what certain bookmarks are, like this is the symbol for Drive, I know this is the symbol for Canvas, this is Calendar. I also know that this is the symbol for our SIS. So if I right click on this and go to Edit, I can just simply delete that whole word right there and click Save, and I can get rid of that. So now this bookmark is just the little icon. Same thing, I know this is the symbol for iReady, so I can right click on it, go to Edit, hit Delete, and get rid of that whole text right there, and then click Save, and it's gone. So I don't know that this is the symbol for this Videri just yet, because I'm not used to that one. And then all of these, like I don't know what slide presentation that one is just yet. So what I did when I put that one up there and bookmarked it was I typed in JJHS, so I would know which one that one was. I can also move all of these around. So if I want to move them into a different order, I can simply drag and shift. So make sure that you can customize this however you want. Be aware of that you can edit that text. Just because something is saved there when you hit the little bookmark bar, when you hit the little star, doesn't mean it has to stay that way. You have the ability to change the text, get rid of the text, and also to rearrange things to make them more useful for you. If you didn't realize that you can change this as well, you can change the copy or you can change the URL to make it more functional for yourself. So typically at the end of this slash, it would say either edit or view or copy. So whatever is after the slash, if you highlight that, you can change it to edit, change it from edit to copy, and that will force a copy. So then if you change this and that's what you send to your students, it's going to force a copy for all of them. They're not going to be on yours. They're going to each have their own copy that they can edit. So if you're not using Google Classroom, that's an easy way to make sure that everybody gets their own copy. So especially if you're working with like other teachers and you want them to all have their own copy, that's an easy way to do that. Another thing to do, if your district allows it, is always check that link in an incognito window. So if you go to the three dots and open up an incognito window and paste your link there, make sure that it tells you, asks you if you want to make a copy. Okay, match the formatting when you paste. So if you paste something and the text doesn't match, it's a different font. See how this is larger than what I had there before? If you do, instead of just Control V, if you do Control Shift V, it will automatically paste using the same font size, the same font as what you were typing in before. So that is a very helpful tip. Again, it'll save you some clicks. So instead of having to go then and highlight it and change the font size and change the font, just do Control Shift V when you're pasting it, and then it will match. Huge time saver there. You can fast forward in YouTube videos. Instead of having to try and click along the bar, you can just jump to points in the video by pressing a number. So if you press 2, it's going to go to 20%. If you press 7, it's going to jump to about 70% through the video. So another easy keyboard shortcut that'll help you kind of get to exactly where you want to be in your YouTube video as you're watching it. TextBlaze is one of my absolute favorite Chrome extensions. I kind of have a problem as far as Chrome extensions are concerned. I have a definite addiction to Chrome extensions. So this is one of them that I really like because you get to make your own shortcuts. So if I type /LET, whoops, I need to get my cursor down here, sorry. it changes to, please let me know if there's anything else I can do to help Dana, because that's how I sign a lot of my emails. And that's because I have the keyboard or the Chrome extension Text Blaze. So you go in here after you've installed this extension and you make your own shortcuts. So one of the things they suggest is that you make sure that you use things that aren't going to show up in a word. So like the double letters DDONE. So if I type that, it changes to done. Please let me know if there's anything else I can do for you. Again, happens, I type that a lot of emails. So you decide what shortcuts you want. These are still a couple of the demos that they had in there. /summer. Hope you're enjoying your summer vacation. I must use a lot of these in emails, I think. I think you get 25 of them for free. And then after that, you have to start paying. So that's one of my favorite extensions. I think we'll get to my other one here. Undo send. I'm going to skip to my other one because I want to make sure I get to show you that one. There it is. Clipboard History 2. This is another fabulous extension. So that's linked in there for you. But it will give you access to previously copied text. So if you look at this extension up here, I have access to the last 150 things that I have copied while I've been typing on this computer. It doesn't work across devices. So I can only get the things that I have copied on this particular computer. I can't get anything that I copied, for example, on my Chromebook. So 2 days ago, I copied hello, my name is labels. If I click right here, I can go in and I can paste that right there. So it's really helpful because otherwise I would only have access to like the last thing that I had copied and pasted. So I can copy this and paste it. And then I can go back here and click out of their advertisement and I can go back to, I don't know, something from 2 days ago. And I can paste that. So this is super helpful when you're working. I can't tell you how often I use this. So that is another one of my absolute favorite extensions. We are just about running out of time. You've got access to all of these other things that I didn't have time to get to. I've made GIFs of almost everything, so feel free to use that. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions about this. My contact information is at the beginning of the slide. What questions do we have? Oh, well, thank you, Heather. If you've got any other questions, feel free to unmute and ask me about it. But otherwise, I think I'm going to wrap it up here to make sure that everybody has a minute to get to their next presentation, and I have a minute to get switched over for my next presentation. So anybody have any questions? Well, good. I hope you guys found this useful and that I didn't bore you. Awesome. I'm glad you guys found it helpful. This is one of my favorites, but I know I go really fast, so I hope everybody was able to keep up because I want to get to everything and I know I can't. All right, I hope you guys have a great day and that you learn lots. Please reach out if I can help you with anything.